Welcome to Pedagogical Strategies that promote critical thinking and civic engagement, research and evidence-based practices for social studies. In this presentation, we will explore three key research and evidence-based pedagogical strategies that are highly effective for teaching social science content: critical thinking and inquiry-driven learning, document analysis, and argument construction for persuasive writing. Our goal is to establish foundational understanding of these strategies and provide insight into how they can be applied with your social studies students in grades 6 through 12. Let's begin with critical thinking and inquiry-driven learning. This student-centered approach encourages students to explore questions, solve problems, and investigate real-world issues. It fosters critical thinking, curiosity, and independent learning by emphasizing the process of discovery rather than simply delivering information. Now, let's explore key components of critical thinking and inquiry-driven learning. Question formation. Students develop and refine their own questions that guide their exploration. This helps to spark curiosity and deepens engagement in the learning process. Investigation and exploration. Students engage in hands-on activities such as research, experiments, or data collection to explore the topic they've chosen. Critical thinking. Throughout the process, students analyze, synthesize, and evaluate the information they gather to draw meaningful conclusions. Additional key components include collaboration. Critical thinking and inquiry-driven learning often occurs in collaborative settings where students work with their peers and educators to share ideas and problem solve. Reflection and synthesis. After the inquiry, students reflect on their learning process, synthesize information, and make connections to real-world applications. Teacher facilitation. Teachers guide and support the inquiry process by scaffolding students' learning, providing resources, and encouraging deeper exploration. This strategy empowers students to take ownership of their learning and encourages them to ask questions that matter most to them. Next, let's move on to document analysis. This strategy involves critically examining and interpreting primary and secondary sources to understand historical, scientific, or literary context. Document analysis develops analytical thinking, evidence-based reasoning, and the ability to identify biases in writing or visual materials. Key components of document analysis include source identification. Students first determine the type of document they are analyzing, whether it's a diary, photograph, report, or speech, and its origin, such as the author, time period, and purpose. Contextualization. Understanding the broader historical, cultural, or social context in which the document was created is essential to fully grasp its significance. Textual analysis. This involves examining the language, tone, and structure of the document to identify key ideas, arguments, and perspectives. Evidence extraction. Students extract specific quotes, data, or details from the document that support their conclusions or arguments. Other components include bias and perspective. Students evaluate the author's point of view, intent, and the potential biases in the document to critically assess its reliability. Comparison and corroboration. Comparing multiple documents helps students identify consistencies or contradictions, adding depth to their understanding. Application. Finally, students use the evidence from their analysis to support broader conclusions or arguments in class discussions, projects, or essays. Document analysis empowers students to develop a critical lens through which they can examine history and the present. Finally, let's discuss argument construction, an essential skill in persuasive writing. This strategy involves creating a logical, evidence-based argument supported by reasoning and data. It fosters critical thinking and the ability to effectively communicate and counter opposing viewpoints. The key components of argument construction include claim development. The first step is clearly stating a central thesis or argument that is specific and debatable. A strong claim serves as the foundation for the entire argument. Evidence gathering. To support the claim, students collect credible and relevant evidence, such as data, textual references, or research findings that strengthen their position. Reasoning and justification. Students must explain how the evidence supports their claim, providing logical reasoning and detailed analysis. Counter arguments. A strong argument anticipates and addresses alternative perspectives or objections, strengthening the overall position. More key components include organization and structure. The argument should be well organized, typically following a structure with an introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion to present ideas clearly and coherently. Clarity and precision. Effective arguments are communicated clearly and concisely, avoiding ambiguity or confusion. Application. Finally, students apply their arguments to real-world scenarios, debates, essays, or projects, connecting classroom learning to authentic experiences. Argument construction allows students to practice critical thinking, effective communication, and persuasive writing skills, key components for success in social sciences and beyond. To summarize, we've discussed 3 powerful pedagogical strategies for teaching social science content: critical thinking and inquiry-driven learning, fostering curiosity, critical thinking, and independent or collaborative learning through exploration and investigation; document analysis, developing analytical thinking and evidence-based reasoning by critically examining historical and contemporary sources; argument construction, building persuasive arguments based on clear, logical reasoning and supporting evidence. These strategies can be applied to the classroom to foster deeper engagement with social science content and build essential skills for civic engagement. Thank you for watching Pedagogical Strategies that promote critical thinking and civic engagement, research and evidence-based practices for social studies. We hope you feel inspired to use these strategies in your classroom. This video was developed by the Oregon Department of Education to support Oregon's social sciences instructional framework.